Thank you, Madam Chairman. I appreciate your having this hearing today. The issue of climate change has taken a larger significance lately, and the subject of the day, mandatory carbon cap and trade. More and more companies that wish to profit on the backs of consumers are coming out of the woodwork to endorse climate proposals in hopes of forcing customers to buy their products or to penalize their competitors. Some companies are coming together in an attempt to profit from government intervention where they have failed in the marketplace. Economists call this rent-seeking, but I think the Wall Street Journal was right. They are climate profiteers. These companies will gain market share against their competitors while the economy flattens and jobs are sent to China, which, in an ironic twist of fate, will soon become the biggest emitter of CO2, passing the United States by 2009. Interestingly also about China is that people who are concerned about job flight, when you consider we haven't had a new coal-fired generating plant put online in 17 years, and they're cranking out one every 3 days, so there's more to come. Most of its victims, particularly small business, that will no longer be able to compete, but the biggest losers won't be the businesses but American consumers. And you know, you guys, you all look so solemn right now. This is a happy committee hearing, isn't it, Barbara?
Well, for me it is. For you, I don't think so.
No, I really do believe. I spent 25 years in the real world as a CEO. I know something about how CEOs think. And I've wondered quite often, I really have, and I say this in a serious vein, would I, if I had the opportunity to make a bunch of money in answer to my stockholders, would I come forth and do something that I think is not in the best interest of America? The proposal that we're talking about, and others like it, may be written in the form of government regulatory mandates, but for all practical purposes, it's really a regressive tax on the American economy, where select powerful companies profit at the expense of seniors, the working class, and the poor. These groups already pay disproportionately more than their monthly budget for energy, and this situation will only worsen under proposals like I see today. Let me be real clear today, because we have to say what it is. We're talking about the largest tax increase in the history of America. And I want to get some responses from Mr. Book and Mr. Smith on this, because in reality, that's what we're talking about. A very liberal group that, I can't find this right now, but they came out and they're talking about what was the largest tax increase. It was the Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1993. And I can go down and talk about the 10 things it did to increase taxes. The total amount of taxes increased in effect on the economy was $32 billion a year. This would be over $300 billion a year. So it's a much larger tax increase on the American people. And we need to say what it is and talk about who's going to be paying for it. I'm told that the rush to do something about global warming has gained momentum. But the not-so-hidden secret is that more and more serious scientists and political leaders are voicing their discontent with both the hype and the symbolic approaches that masquerade as solutions that are designed more in line to line the pockets of its promoters than to accomplish anything. Now, when you stop and think about the scientists, and this is where you see the sense of panic that's coming from those individuals. It all started with the United Nations to make people believe that man-made gases is responsible for climate change. And you see the ones who are lining that were they're very aggressive leaders. Claude Allegre was one of the leaders in France, a very liberal socialist in France. He's a geophysicist. I'm not sure what he was, but he's on both the French and the United States Academy of Sciences. Claude said, and I don't have this quote here, but he said that warming may be due simply to natural variation, and the debate appears to be about money. Then just last week, this Nir Sharif, he's one of the top astrophysicists in Israel. He's now, and he was on the other side of this debate back when it started, back when the United Nations started all this stuff 15 years ago. And he's now saying that there is no proof of man's contribution rather than natural variation. Same thing is true with David Bellamy from UK. He was one of them marching the streets, waving the flags. The dirty old man, is responsible for climate change. And now he has come around to realizing that the science flat is not there. Then there are political leaders. Prime Minister Stephen Harper reportedly once called Kyoto Accord a socialist scheme designed to suck money out of rich countries. And just last week, and I really enjoyed this because I know him personally, Czech President Václav Klaus made clear his disdain for politics parading for science when he said, global warming is a false myth and every serious person and scientist says so. It is not fair to refer to the United Nations panel. The IPCC is not a scientific institution, it's a political body, a sort of non-government organization of green flavor. This is kind of interesting because everyone was talking about what happened a week ago Friday when they came out with the fourth assessment. The fourth assessment isn't going to be out until next May. This was something for the policy. This was not the scientists, but the policymakers. So anyway, that's what's happening. I guess what I'm saying is the science is not settled, and I think everybody knows that, and since more and more people are coming to the other side, there is a level of panic that is setting in. Now, you don't have to agree with my position on the science to question the wisdom of a cap-and-trade approach. These proposals would do little and cost much. Moreover, as the White House spokesman Tony Snow stated last week, there is a carbon cap system in place in Europe, and we are doing a better job of reducing our emissions here. This is kind of interesting. You know, they all jumped in Western Europe. 15 countries signed on to Kyoto. Only 2 of the 15 countries, Sweden and Great Britain, actually have met their targets. None of the rest of them have. So if you take all 15 countries, we have reduced the CO2 emissions in this country far more, and we're not even a part of the Kyoto thing. Simple fact is that we can't continue to put pressure on demand for natural gas in this country while we curtail the efforts of producers to supply it. Now, as Mr. Ham knows, my state of Oklahoma is an ag state. And the thing that I hear when I go around, and I'm around the state every weekend, out in the western part of the state and the southern part of the state in rural Oklahoma, the chief problem that they're having right now, my farmers in Oklahoma, is the cost of fertilizer. The main thing that has driven the cost up is the price of natural gas. We can't demand significant emission reductions while senators oppose the construction of new nuclear facilities. In short, we can't demand reductions from our fossil fuel sector unless these demands can be met. The result can only be further increases in the volatility of natural gas prices, continued and even increased job flight to countries that don't participate. But the biggest cost will be to the consumers, who will be forced to foot the bill for its climate problems. That is why we have decided to fight for consumers and plan to introduce the Ratepayers Protection Act, which is going to be something kind of interesting to a lot of utilities because I'm going to ask them, and this act provides that if this drives the cost up, you can't pass this on to the consumers. So finally, I would just say that we know, and I don't criticize people for being here today who are going to make profits by a cap-and-trade system because you have your board of directors to answer to, and I understand that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.